is Guiding Principles of Affordable Housing Resolution. We have Ryan Cash with us. Hi, Ryan. How are you this evening?
Good, Mr. Mayor, yourself?
Good.
Good. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also have Vice Chair of the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission. And I just wanted to kind of do a quick introduction. It's interesting seeing the ties and the overlap we have within the community. You know, we talked about having Palouse Prairie out here. Palouse Prairie actually did quite an in-depth presentation to the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission last month on their findings for Syringa Trailer Park. We had discussions and topics that we dealt with and utilizing with the ASUI Association. We're currently underway working with them as well for developing webinars. And then finally, we talk about Nils Peterson. He's been an integral part of our volunteer corps within the city on many commissions. In fact, he actually sits as a unique spot within Moscow Affordable Housing Trust, which was a spinoff of the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission. A little bit of back history. The Fair and Affordable Housing Commission was formed with the need that really housing is a basic human right. We think about survival, and the very first thing you gotta find is water, then food, and then shelter. So it's critical within our community to have that available asset. But finding that overlay, we found that there was a little bit of lapse. You know, we look at the Fair Housing Act, which is its 50th anniversary this year, but the Fair Housing Act had a lot to do with accessibility and discrimination within the housing market, certain groups, certain backgrounds, and so forth. But the affordability of it had kind of fallen in the hands more of the Affordable Housing Trust as far as finding availability for affordable housing in the community, but not so much as defining what the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission has. So that's kind of the purpose of this resolution in front of the mayor and the city council tonight. So we've brought Vice Chair Casey Holcomb along to kind of explain to you the reasonings behind it and kind of how the evolution of it happened for your review. So with that, here's Casey.
Good evening, Casey.
Good evening. So I actually get to speak, so it's my privilege to speak, but I came in at the tail end of the commission, and so I just wanted to recognize that Jill did a lot of work on the principles that we presented to you, drawing from existing resolutions in other cities and really trying to determine what we wanted to present as a commission to the city and to the council to say that we believe in affordable housing, and these are the objectives that we want to work towards to make sure that we don't have one area of town dedicated to affordable housing and create a not in my backyard sort of system, and really have multiple aspects to where it might be multifamily housing, it might be single housing dwelling. So you guys know the commission or the housing trust has worked really hard, but one single dwelling household every 2 years doesn't really address an affordable housing issue. So really, we're here to just say, this is what the commission would like the city to adopt as our guiding principles towards making Moscow an affordable place to live for the people that work here and that serve us. And so that we can have those people living in our community, not in just the outlying areas where they can afford to live now.
Casey, I know that Nils Peterson has done a bunch of work, as Ryan had said, on this housing trust that he belongs to. And one of the things that he has said is about the small houses, the teeny houses. He reported this in front of planning and zoning. The cost of them, because of a lot and so on and so forth, were pretty expensive by the time you hooked up and built these. Yes. And so on and so forth. And so that was kind of a tough thing. I'm talking about these lots or houses that were like 480 square feet, that type of thing. Mm-hmm.
Where the price of building it and living on the land outweighs the cost of the house, for sure.
Yes.
I serve on the board of the Housing Trust as well, so we've discussed a lot of different options in Moscow. I know community land trust is really something that Nils feels passionate about. I think that's down the road a little bit for us, but definitely something to look at for our community.
I have a
Catherine?
question. Conceptually, I want fair and affordable housing. Because of the nature of resolutions, having power as this council, and you know how councils change, and resolutions can be undone and not maintained with the same integrity. I guess I was curious as to why a resolution. And I had wanted to hear, and Jill, I wanted to hear why that move, out of curiosity.
Jill, would you come up to the podium, please?
And Ryan, too, yeah,
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
just going to say, I can answer a portion of that. There's
Yeah.
So let's let her come on up, be sure to ask her up, Ryan, then you can help her out. Please, Jill, tell us who you are and where you live.
I'm Jill Maxwell, a Moscow resident and longtime member of the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission.
and your address.
1150 Leandra
Yeah,
Drive. Moscow. Yeah. So we had initially written this as a proclamation, and then in the process of going through the city review, it got upgraded.
Oh, okay.
correct. And I know Gary can speak more towards that because he was acting as the interim city attorney as well. But because of the style and the dedication of this as far as the principles, it was in essentially the same purview as having a resolution is more of an action on something rather than a proclamation is similar to what we had for the Fair and Affordable Housing Month or a Fair Housing Month. So it's well, I guess Gary, maybe you can elaborate a little bit better than I can.
Well,
since I'm not a
proclamation
lawyer
is
on
just a
those, so.
statement of a condition or a certain thing. A resolution actually spells out what you're trying to accomplish. Am I correct, Gary?
Yeah, proclamation is issued by the mayor's office, the resolution is issued by the entire council. I think what Fair and Affordable Housing Commission was looking for was a statement, a policy statement by the council that they supported these guiding principles for affordable housing. Interestingly enough, Bill Belknap and I met just a couple of weeks ago with Nils Peterson to discuss some options that we are working out to see if we can bring before the council to try and provide some municipal assistance to fair and affordable housing as well. So those discussions are going on and being driven by the policies that are contained in this resolution. So just as Ryan indicated, just a little more horsepower, the entire council making this statement, I think helps guide the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission.
I think so. That's what I felt like. I felt like this was working for something larger, and I was just trying to understand where you're wanting to go. Is it possible to go further with that?
I think that was the intent of this. This is kind of a statement of where we want to go, that by having a resolution, I think the city and nonprofits or whatever can point to the resolution as a statement of the fact that the city of Moscow does really care about affordable housing, and that can be used to help secure grant monies and stuff like that. It's just something that the city needs to keep working towards. This is one of the most expensive communities in the state of Idaho, and it just needs to be on everybody's mind, and that we just kind of want to make a statement about that.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah, I would just say, I think, just to kind of expand on what you're talking about, too, we all talk about retaining our students when they graduate from the University of Idaho and developing jobs, and I think for the most part we agree that that's something we should be striving towards, but to create that, you also need to create affordable homes, so you don't have, as you said, the people in outlying communities commuting that then just creates different burdens with the traffic and congestion, as opposed to if we can get those people jobs and homes all in the same community. So I'm in support of that.
You're correct. And one thing to note in regards to that, the Citizens Survey incorporated 3 questions from this commission. And one of those, and the largest finding, was a question about where do you prioritize housing? And surprisingly, the largest audience that voted on this was talking about the need for aging in place. Most people that are looking to have a house in the city of Moscow are planning to live there throughout their retirement and really not use any other options for housing.
We're going through a period of time with housing here in Moscow, too. There's not that much availability for sale, and it's driving the prices higher on this. And that's just kind of a phenomenon that we're going through, that there's not as many that are being built. There's plenty of lots available, just simply not being built for whatever reason, so, and that's driving prices up in our town. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of obstacles to overcome in terms of land value and construction costs and financing for people of limited means, and those are all obstacles that I think this kind of addresses, that we're concerned about those things, and we're looking for ways to get over those hurdles and come up with a plan going forward. So I'm fully in support of it, and I would move that we approve this resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jim and a second by Catherine to approve the resolution. I'll start with Brandy.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and you have your resolution, and thank you, Casey and Jill and Ryan, and keep up the good work. And one thing about fair and affordable housing, the very first commission I was on, before I was on P&Z in the late 90s, I was on fair and affordable housing. So you don't ever give up. Keep plugging away. Someday we're chewing away and chomping on it, so.
Thank you, and I would like to plug one last event for the Fair and Affordable Housing Commission. This last week of April, we will have the first annual fair at the 4-H building at the fairgrounds as well. So everybody's invited, and Casey Holcomb and Rachel Lane are spearheading the efforts as far as point of contact for that. So we invite everybody to attend.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.